Hello and welcome to the fourth edition of our Investment Insight series, Magellan Minutes. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we found ourselves broadcasting via Zoom yet again. The challenging times continue, but we are hopeful that we'll be back in the studio again very soon. My name is Jennifer Herbert, Key Account Manager at Magellan, and in this session, I'll be talking with Elisa Di Marco, Portfolio Manager of the MFG Core ESG Fund. We'll be discussing the latest trends in payment options, the investment thesis for Visa and Mastercard, and opportunities for the payment network over the longer term. Thanks for joining us, Elisa.
Great to be here, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Elisa, payments technology is frequently in the news headlines. Could you give us a quick update of the latest trends in payment options?
Yeah, absolutely, Jen. So there's definitely been an acceleration in payment options for consumers over the past years. So technology and communications innovation have been the catalyst for this evolution. So we bucket payment options into new age currencies and new age payment methods. So firstly, on new age currencies, there's been a proliferation of new age currencies over the past years. The value is now at around $2 trillion US, which is more than the top 100 stocks in Australia. So when we're thinking about new age currencies, they take the form of cryptocurrencies. So for example, Bitcoin, and then also currency-backed coins, for example, a stable coin. So let's start with Bitcoin, because I imagine many in the audience have heard of it. So Bitcoin is actually only one type of cryptocurrency, and there are now over 8,000 in operation. So cryptocurrencies are quite a unique payment method as they have no tangible assets backing them, and they're also largely unregulated. But nonetheless, they're quite a popular means to store wealth, and they're starting to be accepted by some retailers as currency. The other type of new age currency was called stablecoins. So stablecoins in most cases have a fiat currency, so for example, the US dollar, as collateral behind the coin. So in most cases, stablecoins are quite true to name. So the value of the coin is stable versus the currency that it's being used as the collateral. So stablecoins are in fact very similar to the digital currency that you and I would transact with online now. And interestingly, many companies are also considering the use cases for stablecoins at the moment. So for example, Meta Platforms, which is formerly called Facebook, and PayPal. These new age currencies, they're gaining popularity and they're increasingly gaining the attention of regulators. So it's an area that we'll continue to watch over the coming years. The second element that I wanted to touch on, Jen, is new payment options. And the ones that we find most interesting are buy now, pay later and the real-time payment methods as new age payment methods. So buy now, pay later, you're likely all familiar with. So for example, Afterpay and Klarna are some of the largest ones. So buy now, pay later is the option to buy a product or service now and then pay it off in installments later. Buy now, pay later is really popular with millennials, and it now accounts for around 2% of global e-commerce. The second new age payment method is real-time payments. So this is the ability to transact instantly. There is significant investment from central banks in real-time payments, where they're building new networks to initially send money between bank accounts. These are, in effect, the creation of a new payment rail. So how these networks are integrated into consumer payments is the space that we are acutely monitoring. So overall, the payments ecosystem, it's broadening and it's also creating more options for consumers to transact.
Okay, so that's super interesting. So what implications do these new payment methods have on Visa and Mastercard? And should we be concerned about the competitive threats?
Yeah, Jen, you're absolutely right. New payment methods could definitely be considered as competition to the Visa and Mastercard networks. So, for example, buy now, pay later or Bitcoin, they could be seen in some cases just like cash, and it's an alternate method to pay for your good or service. But over the near term, we don't view that these alternate methods are meaningful threats to payment flows on the Visa and Mastercard networks. So firstly, on the buy now, pay later, these networks, they're still in their infancy. And in fact, there's extensive competition within buy now, pay later, both from the buy now, pay later entrants, but also from established payment players. So the likes of American Express, PayPal, also Visa and Mastercard, they all have pay by installment offerings. So this then just creates another challenge for these buy now, pay laters to create that network effect, which is where value is created for the network participant, but also for the shareholders. So Visa and Mastercard have been nurturing these networks for decades, and they're quite challenging to compete with. Another alternate payment method that we mentioned previously was cryptocurrency. So why do we think the threat of cryptocurrencies is muted to Visa and Mastercard in the near term? So whilst they're very popular, it's become a very popular means to store wealth. It's quite challenging for the Bitcoin network to actually process transactions with respect to global commerce. So, for example, Visa processes, would you believe, over 65,000 transactions per second. Now, Bitcoin is currently estimated at processing 7 transactions per second. So there's quite a gap for Bitcoin to fill to reach the levels that Visa and Mastercard are currently able to do for global commerce to continue. There's also challenges with the blockchain, which Bitcoin is run on, with respect to the cost from an environmental perspective. And then also there are numerous challenges with the know your client and anti-money laundering concerns for cryptocurrencies. But nonetheless, Visa and Mastercard, they work with crypto wallets because they want to help consumers to transact in whichever currency they desire. So overall, this is a very fluid space, and we'll continue to monitor the competition of new age currencies and new age payment methods, as well as the innovation from Visa and Mastercard.
And Visa and Mastercard actually underperformed last year. Was this primarily due to the competition that we just spoke about, or are there other contributing factors? And are we still comfortable with the investment thesis for Visa and Mastercard?
Thanks, Jen. Look, you are correct. The evolution in competition was one of the reasons we view that Visa and Mastercard underperformed last year. However, to your point, there was a lot of noise in the payment space last year over the past 12 months, and quite a bit of that was due to the pandemic. So think back over the past 12 months. We had several lockdowns, and this was also the case around the world, and that reduced our ability to travel and to spend on entertainment. We also had border closures, which that had a negative impact on cross-border revenues. There was also regulatory uncertainty. And then finally, there was commentary out of Amazon, the largest global e-commerce retail, about the acceptance of Visa credit cards. So we viewed that all of these events, that they compounded and led to Visa and Mastercard being oversold last year. So on the second part of your question, we are absolutely still comfortable with the investment thesis for Visa and Mastercard. In our eyes, they remain very high quality businesses with meaningful tailwinds in the near term. So some of those opportunities, it's the border reopenings, it's the confidence to travel and frequent restaurants. There's also, if there is some inflation and in a positive growth environment, that is a tailwind for Visa and Mastercard. And then there's also the continued growth from the shift to e-commerce and in non-cash transactions. Now, we must say, it's not to say that these investments aren't without risk, but we view at the moment that these risks are priced in for Visa and Mastercard.
Elisa, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Thanks, Jen. It was a pleasure to chat to you.
And thanks to everyone for joining us. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact one of the Magellan team, and feel free to share this update with clients or colleagues as you see fit. Take care and stay safe.